May.
Here.
Probst.
Here.
Reinke.
Here.
Rote.
Here.
Vitale.
Here.
Weigel.
Here.
Barzak.
Here.
Chapletsky.
Here.
Haas.
Here.
Lysick.
Here.
10 present, none excused.
We have a quorum. Our Pledge of Allegiance this evening will be led by Alderman May. Okay, we have 6 items for public hearing this evening. I will ask the clerk to read public hearing number 1.
A hearing on an ordinance to amend subsections 12.06, 12.40 sub 1Y and Z, 12.40 sub 2R, 12.41 sub LV, X, 12.41 sub 2 CC, 12.42 sub 1H and I of the revised municipal code relative to defining and permitting medical clinics, mental health services, hospitals, and medical service facilities.
Mr. Stiebel.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The purpose of the hearing tonight is to look at the zoning ordinance and try to bring some more clarity and regularity to it, particularly to its interpretation. And this particular issue is going to be the term medical. And we're going to define medical clinic, mental health services, and medical service facilities, and then provide a definition to a hospital. Many of our words in the code don't have any definition, and this will help make it easier for the public to understand. The first one is medical clinics, and that's technically what most people think of: a doctor's office, dentist, chiropractor, podiatrist, massage therapy, etc. And then another classification, those can be done throughout the entire city through our commercial C1 zoning through the M1 zoning. In the larger, more heavily commercial areas are permitted, or will be permitted as a permitted use, mental health services, which are primarily a psychiatric outpatient basis. And then medical service facilities, and those are also in C3, the heavier commercial through M1. For alcohol dependency, chemicals abuse, sexually transmitted diseases, including and not limited to blood donations. And then also, for clarification purposes, the definition of a hospital. Also within this, massage therapy was in a different part of the zoning ordinance. It was in part of the physical culture and health services, swimming pools, etc. And that's being moved to this new group to go along with the regular medical issues. And also, that was a special use in the old category and now be a permitted use in the current one. The Plan Commission has reviewed this proposal and recommend the council approval. We've received no objections to date. If you have any additional questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Thank you, Mr. Stiebel. Are there any questions or comments from the Common Council? Seeing none, are there any questions or comments from the members of the audience? Okay, seeing none, we will close public hearing number 1, and I will ask the clerk to read public hearing number 2.
A hearing on the ordinance to amend subsections 12.06, 12.40 sub 2B, 12.41 sub 1N, 2E, 3E, and 12.42 3B, repeal subsections 12.40 sub 2C, 12.42 sub 1G, 12.41 sub 1HH and sub 2F, and create subsections 12.40 sub 1RR and 3.1 of the revised municipal code relative to defining and permitting food production and sales uses.
Mr. Stiebel.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Again, this is one where we have a lot of confusion in the general public as to what is permitted as a permitted use and what is permitted as a special use, and then what is even allowed to be permitted. We're trying to redefine our code to be more business-friendly, more user-friendly, and to become more in tune with the way the times, the way retail and retail production is being accomplished. And what we're doing here is we're going to allowing, we already allow bakeries as a definition, but caterers, candy stores, ice cream, delicatessens, meat markets, breweries, distilleries, etc., to be in a C1 and the C2, the smaller commercial zoning districts, as well as the heavier zoning districts, as a special use. grocery stores will continue to be a permitted use in all districts. The biggest change is going to be currently in the C1, C2, C3, any retail business has to have a retail component that they sell from their store to the general public. This change will allow them to manufacture the product on site and also to be sold online, which currently would not be allowed. The Plan Commission has reviewed this proposal, has recommended approval, and we received no objections to date. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Thank you, Mr. Stiebel. Are there any questions or comments from the Common Council on this item?
Mayor Devine?
Alderman Weigel?
John, in those restrictions on there, you said that if someone were to open one of these businesses under this new permitted use, special use, they would be required to do either online or retail sales at retail or wholesale? Are we making a differentiation there? No, any kind of sales?
Any kind of sales.
And we're not saying that, I mean, they could open one day a week, a year, and do a...
There's still a special use, so we'll have to take a look
So
at
that would
how-
be handled on a case-by-case basis, because there's still a special use, and they would say, I'm going to be open 6 days a week, or 2 days a week, or whatever.
That's going to be the deliberation that you will make as you refine this
One by
policy.
one on a case-by-case basis. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Weigel. Any other questions or comments from the council?
Mayor Devine.
Alderman May?
John, you said grocery stores are currently permitted in all those areas?
Correct.
M1?
Now, I bring that up here because if they were to add, say, a butcher shop in their grocery store, now that's a special use, only because butcher shops, we're going to want to take a look at their disposal methods, their dumpsters, how often they're dumped, because meat's going to get rancid and smelling, and so the things that make an area that may negatively impact a neighborhood, we want to make sure we're paying close attention to.
Okay, so basically we're not changing anything with the grocery store.
We're allowing in these districts, particularly C1 and C2, for people to manufacture the product. Now, they can't bring in a huge plant because in those zoning districts, by definition, they're allowed to a maximum of 5,000 square feet in C1 and C2, and I think 25,000 square feet in C3. So they still have to be small.
Okay, so Quad Graphics decides, and I'm throwing this out there completely as a hypothetically, Quad Graphics decides it wants to sell a piece of its land to Walmart, and Walmart wants to open a grocery store. It's permitted. We have no restrictions whatsoever on that grocery store opening on Quad property. Hypothetically.
Correct? But if they wanted to
I'm gonna
put,
give that one some thought.
but if they want to put a butcher shop in there, then we'd have this, that'd be a special use. Or any kind of production. You will see, if you were to approve this proposal tonight, we're going to have another proposal, another public hearing in a moment about Famous Dave's Pickle, that he wants to make the pickles on site, which currently is not allowed. But we, by this new definition, will allow him to make his pickles and then sell them either if people come into his store or online.
Well, I appreciate that. I don't think we should change laws just to accommodate one thing.
No, we certainly don't want to, but that's just another quad graphic example of a different kind.
Any other questions or comments from the council? Seeing none, are there questions or comments from the audience on this item? Okay, seeing none, we will close public hearing number 2, and I will ask our clerk to read public hearing number 3.
A hearing on the special use permit to establish an outdoor patio dining at Butch's Pub and Eatery, an existing restaurant located at 2132 South 92nd Street and 9138 through 9140 West National Avenue.
Mr. Stiebel.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Butch's Pub is in the old Stevens Restaurant on the northeast corner of National Avenue and 92nd Street. Because it's a C2, it's allowed to have outdoor dining, but as a special use, so that's the purpose of the public hearing. The patio area will open 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. The pub will continue its regular operations of 10 a.m. to closing. It'll typically have a staff of 6. It has 20 parking spaces and 24 required are provided on site. This is the area that the outdoor dining will be constructed, and the owner has made substantial changes to the site in addition to the patio in terms of resurfacing the parking lot in a 6-foot high board-on-board fence, and a refuge enclosure is going to be in the garage, so it will not be outside, and also the pylon sign has been removed. The new patio deck, contrasting new trim on the building. There's going to be new awnings put throughout, installed planter boxes, et cetera. And so it's going to be, I think, a fine addition to the neighborhood. The Plan Commission has reviewed this proposal and recommended approval, and we've received one letter of support and no objections to date. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Thank you, Mr. Stiebel. Any comments or questions from the Common Council on public hearing number 3?
Mr. Chairman.
Alderman Barzak.
John, a couple questions. Across the street, directly across, I believe is a bar, correct?
Correct.
On the other corner, I think is a floral shop, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes,
And on the other corner, I believe is a muffler shop.
correct.
And then I think next to it is a, I think it's an awning or they awnings or curtains
some
or something
commercial.
like that, commercial business. So on all the areas around there, there isn't a residential home.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from the council?
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor, if I may correct myself, abutting this site to the east is a residential property.
To the back of the property.
Right. Over here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, north, I know.
Yeah.
Yep, that's behind it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions from the Common Council on this item? Seeing none, are there comments or questions from the audience on this item? Okay, seeing none, we will close our third public hearing, and I will ask the clerk to read public hearing number 4.
A hearing on the special use permit to establish Guiding Light Holiness Temple, a proposed religious institution to be located at 5928 West Burnham Street.
Mr. Stiebel.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In the Burnham 60th Street neighborhood is this strip, older commercial building. It's Zone C2 and allows religious functions as a special use. They're proposing to be open 3 days a week during the hours of 11 a.m. and 8 p.m. And I believe they're not going to exceed 49 occupants at any one time per the fire code. There's 10 parking spaces are required, and there are 8 provided on the back of the parcel. There'll be some additional repairs to the building, very minor, and also be installing a refuge enclosure on in their dumpsters. The Plan Commission has recommended approval. We've received no objections to date. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments from the council?
Mayor Devine?
Alderman Weigel.
John, do you know, are they renting or are they buying the property?
I'm the person they were renting.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from the council? Seeing none, are there questions or comments from the audience? Okay, seeing none, we will close public hearing number 4. I will ask the clerk to read public hearing number 5.
A hearing on the special use permit to establish Dave's Famous Pickles, a proposed limited food production facility to be located at 7133 West Beecher Street.
Mr. Stiebel.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On 71st and Beecher is this existing vacant building. It's been vacant for a very long time and is actually foreclosed by the county and actually condemned by the city. And we'll talk about the conditions of that building as we go through this public hearing. Dave's Famous Pickles wants to manufacture his pickles in this facility and then also sell them from this particular site and then take them to food shows and farmers markets and stuff like that. It also wants to have a kitchen that other tenants could possibly rent and to use. It's a very older neighborhood. Parking is obviously very limited, and there'll be enough for 5 parking spaces if they're done back to back. There are also going to be increased landscaping, as you know, by the greens in this area, and removal of a failed retaining wall, or actually along there, and refuge enclosure, as well as an accessibility ramp throughout the building. As you can see here, he's got to put a lot of money into preserving this building. We advised him not to, but if he wants to do it, best of luck. And he's going to be putting a lot of money into it, a lot of sweat equity to bring the building back. We're certainly glad to see any building restored as opposed to having to be demolished. And this is the architectural for the handicap barrier. The Plan Commission has reviewed this, recommended approval, and we've received one letter of support and one email of registering their concerns, primarily concerning pest controls, parking, and hours of operation, and noise and safety. If you have any additional questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Thank you, Mr. Stiebel. Are there comments, questions from the council?
Mayor Devine?
Alderman Weigel.
John, I think there's been a pretty good email thread and staff handled most of the questions, but I don't think I've heard, is there a timeline? One of the questions that had come up was, do we have a time frame on assuming things go the way this new owner intends? Do we have an idea on when construction would start and finish, and have we gotten that far yet? Does he have?
Within 3 months.
If you could come up to the microphone, please.
Within 3 months.
There's 11 of us up here, just so you know. Well, 12, I'm sorry, with the clerk, there's 12 of us.
There are 22 pickles in there.
Within 3 months, I mean, as soon as I buy the building, I'd like to put up, you know, nice plywood windows or plywood over the windows, the existing windows, and go in there and start gutting it out, because it needs to be gutted out.
Okay.
And
One of the
any
neighbors
dumpster-
just wanted to understand that if this goes forward, so
3 months.
so you're thinking ideally you'd be open by spring or summer
By
at the latest?
Spring.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
spring, for farm markets.
Okay. Any other questions or comments from the council? Are there questions or comments from the members of the audience? We ask that you come up to the microphone and then please give us your name and address for our official record.
My name is Pam Oxman, and my address is 1802 South 52nd Street. So I live in the suburb of West Dallas, which is West Milwaukee. That was a joke. Anyways, I am interested, I'm one of the people that are interested in renting from Dave. And my business is truffles. Chocolates. And my business, I have been looking for a commercial kitchen for over 2 years. And it's very, very hard in the city, Milwaukee, you know, the Milwaukee County area, to find decent commercial kitchens that you can leave your stuff at, your equipment at, and not be paying $1,000 a month also. So I am interested in renting space from here. Making chocolates is not a noisy thing to do. And maybe the neighbors might even enjoy coming in and buying a couple of chocolates a week. So, yeah, I think a commercial kitchen is very needed, so.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments from the audience? Very good. We will close public hearing number 5, and I will then ask our clerk to read public hearing number 6.
A hearing on the special use permit to reestablish occupancy for a mixed-use commercial and residential building located at 6416 through 6418 West National Avenue.
Mr. Stiebel.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This building located at 64th and National has come before the council on a number of occasions, most notably for demolition. As part of the city attorney working with the property owner, they've reached a proposal for a stipulation that if a special use is granted for this building, that the owners would renovate it. The owners have offered to renovate it a number of times, and we've yet to see it. But I think the agreement that the city attorney's office has worked out has a lot of specificity to it and detail, that if non-compliance is not achieved at any one of the stages, then we'll award the demolition contract and issue an order to proceed. So I think the first step of this process is for the Common Council to approve the special use. If you have additional questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Thank you, Mr. Stiebel. Are there questions from the Common Council?
Mayor Devine.
Alderman Probst.
John, I just want to make sure I understand this. He's applying for a special, or they're applying for a special use. That's what's before us tonight.
Correct.
If we grant that, it's conditional upon all the rest of those items being taken care of?
Correct.
Okay.
And there's timelines, usually 30 days for these different things to happen.
Okay, all right. Thank
Any-
you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions from the Common Council? Are there any questions or comments from the audience? Okay, seeing none, we will close public hearing number 6. That concludes our public hearings this evening. We will now move on to item E, which is citizen participation. This is an opportunity for residents to address the council on matters of interest to them. We ask that you keep your comments to approximately 5 minutes. Is there anybody who wishes to address the council under citizen participation this evening? Okay, seeing none, we will move on to item F. Our standing committees will be meeting during recess. Those room numbers are listed on your agendas on page 2. Moving on to item G, the mayor's report. I just want to quickly thank all the donors, sponsors, and volunteers that made the family night on New Year's Eve happen at West Dallas Central through CAD, the Community Alliance Against Drugs. I know Alderman Rote and I were volunteering for a couple of hours, putting little wristbands on little wrists and getting the kids on all those bouncy houses. And it was very well attended again. There were hundreds of kids and lots of families, and it was really a great event for the community, great event for the families in our city and in our region. A couple quick things too with the cold weather. I am told that this week the water department will be flooding the ice rink at La Follette Park again, so there's the upside of it being below 0. I believe they're going to start on Friday, flooding part of the basketball court. And I was also asked to put in a plug for the Friends Group is doing a blood drive on Saturday, the 17th of January, from 9 a.m. until 1 o'clock p.m. You can schedule an appointment. The website information there is listed on the Friends Group's Facebook page. I have not looked at the at the website for the group, but I don't know if it's listed there or not. But you can also contact me if you need to make an appointment. Oh, and it is also on the City Hall website. Thank you. So that's all I've got. Do we have any alderpersons' reports this evening?
Mayor Devine.
Alderman Probst.
A year ago, I said the same thing that I'm going to say tonight, but that is with the cold temperatures outside, I'm asking everyone to please make sure that you check on your elderly neighbors. You see a kid walking to school past your home that is not appropriately dressed, please make sure to call someone. Call the schools, call your alderman, call the mayor. Call somebody. We have resources in this community that a lot of people don't necessarily understand are there, and we can help put them in touch with resources that they may need. So please keep those people in mind.
Thank you. Are there any other reports from the alderpersons this evening?
Mayor Devine,
Alderman Lysick.
I move for approval of the minutes of the Common Council regular meeting of December 16th, 2014.
Second.
There's a motion and a second by Alderman May. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. I'll ask for a motion to refer items 8, 9, 10, and 11 to the city attorney.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Alderman Probst, second by Alderman Haas. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Mayor Devine,
Alderman Lysick.
I move that we stand in recess until conclusion of the committee meetings.
Second.
There's a motion, second by Alderman Vitale. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? We are in recess.